For an instant audit on this, let's go to Fox Business contributor Charles Payne and Jim Frischling of NewOak Capital. Of course, this would be huge news because right now, Jim, the exclusivity to AT&T prevents a lot of customers from using the iPhone. If they start using Verizon, this could be huge.
Well, I think for Apple, it's just that. I mean, there's 91 million potential new customers with, if they could bring this device to Verizon. And I think for AT&T, that's not losing that exclusivity is not going to be an easy thing to make up. So Apple continues to, I would say, I won't say surprise, but I'll certainly say they continue to come out with just very impressive announcements and numbers.
Well, you know, sometimes listening to this kind of news, you think on a personal level. I asked you guys earlier. Neither of you use iPhones. Charles, if another network is made available to you, would it encourage you to go the iPhone route?
Not me in particular, but my wife and my son, they both have, and my daughter. So everyone in my family uses Apple products except me. I'm just one of these guys. The only reason I have a BlackBerry is I think someone stole my 7-year-old cell phone in the green room one day. But so I'm the wrong person to ask as far as adoption is concerned. But, you know, the bigger question is, and to Jim's point, it's not necessarily that Apple continues to surprise, it's just how their timetable. I mean, I think it was inevitable that they would have an alternative. People have been clamoring for it. People have been complaining about this exclusive relationship with AT&T. It's huge news for Apple, bad news for AT&T. And the bigger question mark now is what does it mean for Research in Motion? Because their stock actually took a hit after the close when this news was announced.
Ah, very good to point out. And you mentioned the timing. It seems, Jim, that Apple's always perfect on their timing with the product cycle, when they're going to release these new products. But at the same time, they're so quiet about it. There's no details yet. Is the release of such, you know, a Verizon relationship here, could this potentially drive this stock higher, do you believe?
I do. I think analysts are going to raise their expectations for Apple. And again, I agree with you that it's very quiet. Except we're talking about it, and everyone was talking about it last night. So somehow they're giving very limited or no information. Seems to actually raise the volume.
But Charles, look at this stock. I mean, we're looking at it's a 1-year chart here. I'm trying to get the oh look, 118% gain. Even if this is great news for the company, you know, shareholders love it. Does it bring new buyers into the stock?
It will bring new buyers into the stock. I mean, if you look at that chart we have on the screen now, it's actually making a technical breakout. So you're going to get a variety of buyers in the stock. Some may be buy and hold guys, and some may be just, you know, technical traders. Others is looking to cash in. But you make a great point about them raising the bar. Right now, the bar is being raised pretty high. And, you know, at some point, maybe they don't sell as many iPads as people thought they would. Maybe, you know, they don't sell as many iPhones as people thought they would. There will come a point where these expectations from the public are just so outrageous. But right now, it works for Apple. Apple doesn't have to do a lot of its own selling. Its customers are its salespeople.
That's the crazy part about Apple. They're so good at managing expectations that they don't even overbuild the story. But maybe that's the secret to being so quiet. All right, Jim, Charles, thank you.
Then for an instant audit on this, let's go to Charles Payne and Jim Frischling, who are both in studio with us. Charles, how do you look at home prices right now?
Well, I think they're stabilizing.
Yeah.
You know, it looks pretty compelling in that regard. Also, you know, it was interesting, I thought, on Friday when they came out with the employment data for individual states. Some of these hard-hit states starting to get a little bit of a rebound in employment. Not California, but Florida, Nevada, I think.
It had to happen at some point.
It had to happen. Maybe, you know, maybe that could be a precursor or something toward, you know, the real estate markets in those areas also turning up.
And Jim's been telling us that this number may not be as important as some people think. Why is that?
Well, again, I still think that people look to the spring numbers as being more indicative of the year ahead. I also think with the backdrop and the very positive backdrop across the board, I think even if the Case-Shiller number is even disappointing,
right,
I think the market will shrug that off. And again, as we talked about earlier, I think the jobs number on Friday dominates the week. And since the expectation is for a positive number, again, I'm not making light of the number this morning, but I just don't think it's going to derail the market, even if the number is less than expected.
Yeah, and I think that next month's number is probably going to be a little bit. I mean, next month's report. In other words, a lot of people would think that we're going to get another major surge spring. Also, the end of the extension of the homes, the home credit thing.
Right, the home buyer tax credit is expiring soon, and then I'm just curious in general. I'll start with you, Charles, about how you view just housing in terms of if somebody came to you today and said, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a house. Is now the time? I mean, interest rates are going to go up, right? The home buyer tax credit is going away. I mean, should people be thinking about jumping in and either refinancing or buying a house?
I think
right
so.
now?
I really think so, and I still think that it's still a buyer's market. So you want to sort of take advantage of those things. But you have to go with like anything else. I think expectations are, the idea. Although there are some flippers out there, I do know people who are still out there
doing it, huh?
Still doing it. I think right now the expectations is really the key. You buy a home to live in it, maybe raise a family, and if you make some dough on it, good.
Yeah, all the better, right?
All the better,
what's your view on housing then, Jim, overall?
I thought last week the big push by B of A and now others to follow of cutting principal balances and trying to stop the number of underwater investors and keeping the borrowers in their home was a real positive step. And it's being done with the existing programs, just adjusting them slightly. And I think more people are going to get behind that. So I think the number of distressed sellers, there's plenty of supply out there, but again, I think that's going to slow the number of foreclosures.
All right, Jim and Charles, thanks to both of you guys. We'll be back to you in a few minutes. Kay Schiller, 9 a.m. Eastern Time.